Megaprojects are projects that cost over $1 billion, and they're supposed to play an important role in promoting public profitable development, social progress, and environmental protection. But sometimes they end up being a total waste of time and money. Here are the top 10 most useless megaprojects in the world. At number 10, we have Ciudad Real International Airport in Spain. Ciudad Real International Airport, which opened in 2009 during a construction boom, was initially intended to take some traffic from Madrid-Barajas, despite its location about being 220 kilometers to the south. Its passenger terminal was initially intended to accommodate 2 million passengers annually, and then 10 million if planned expansions had been completed. The $1 billion project, however, was only operational for 3 years, and in that time, only Ryanair and the Spanish low-cost carrier Vueling provided flight service. The airport started to deteriorate soon after it shut down, and after that, it was put on the market for £89 million. Unfortunately, however, no investor wanted to pay the unnecessary amount, and the Spanish commercial court rejected a number of offers, including one for £10,000 put forth by a group of British and Asian investors who sought to use it as a point of entry for Chinese businesses. In the end, Ciudad Real International Airport SL purchased the airport for $56.2 million. In September 2019, the airstrip and its lone 4,100-meter-long runway were reopened. However, there are no scheduled passenger services either from or to the airport. Instead, it has become a maintenance and storage facility. Number 9. Dubai Creek Tower. When it was first announced in February 2016, Dubai Creek Tower was scheduled to be completed in time for the city's 2020 World Expo, and it was going to be the focal point of a brand new development at the famed Dubai Creek. The tower, which was believed to be more than 1,300 meters tall, would dwarf the nearby Burj Khalifa and surpass it to become the tallest man-made structure ever built. Like the Eiffel Tower at the 1889 World's Fair, it would serve as a display for what the Middle East was capable of. However, despite the fact the foundation work on the project began 6 years ago, development immediately hit a snag, and there have been rumors that it will be delayed or even abandoned. The construction, which started with sword lines, proved to be a significant obstacle for the workers. The initial challenge of raising so many sword lines to the tower's height, which was planned to be 928 meters, emerged once the construction got underway. A building also needed to be habitable in at least 50% of its space to qualify as a skyscraper. However, only 30% of the Dubai Creek Tower is inhabitable, and at the moment, the construction of the Dubai Creek is still paused, and there's no sign of any development anytime soon. Number 8. Interstate H3, Hawaii, USA. The roadway was first proposed in 1960 with defense considerations in mind, since it would link the Marine Corps Air Station on the East Coast with the naval facility at Pearl Harbor, which is located on the south side. The plans were then postponed indefinitely due to environmental regulations in effect at the time and a change in route to protect the nearby valleys. Then, 26 years later, the project was exempted from environmental rules by Congress, making it possible for development to start in 1989. In 1997, some 37 years after it was first proposed, the highway was finally completed. Because of the challenging terrain it was built on and the cutting-edge technologies that were employed in its construction, Interstate 3 is sometimes regarded as an engineering marvel. To safeguard the local ecosystem in the valleys below, the highway goes almost entirely over through ducts, in addition to several high-tech tunnels. It cost 5 times over the expected budget as a result of route deterioration and newer but more expensive technologies. Construction's overall cost of $1.3 billion, or $50 million per kilometer, makes it the most expensive per kilometer road in the world. And despite having a huge budget, not everyone can benefit from this lovely highway. Also, critics claim that it is a road leading nowhere because the 1960s defense reasons are no longer applicable. There's no direct route from the highway to downtown Honolulu. Number 7. NAYPYIDAW, Myanmar. Welcome to one of the strangest capitals in the world, which is often translated as the seat of the king, and it was constructed entirely from scratch in the middle of rice paddies and sugarcane fields and inaugurated as Burma's new capital by then military regime in November 2005. It is estimated to have cost up to $4 billion to build, in a nation where healthcare expenditures are the lowest in the world at just 0.4% of the GDP. NAYPYIDAW can be considered a failed design, as the life of any city is its population, and this place is almost completely empty. NAYPYIDAW is a study in contrast, two worlds living side by side, a bizarre suburban city plunked in the middle of a desperately poor country. Number 6. Dubai Artificial Islands. It's been 20 years since the construction of Dubai's man-made islands, the world's largest artificial archipelago, began, and it was widely announced as the star project of the United Emirates urban development. But 2 decades later, the story is very different from what the developers would have imagined. Unfinished islands, abandoned projects, and the sea reclaiming its space. The Dubai authorities intended to develop 3 artificial island communities: the Palm Jumeirah, the Palm Jebel Ali, and the Dera Islands. But after 20 years, the Dubai authorities have failed to complete anything except the Palm Jumeirah. Even the completed Palm Jumeirah is another extremity because it's sinking 0.2 inches into the ocean every year. The main reason for considering this mega project a failure is a lack of proper planning and foresight. Number 5. Forest City, Malaysia. Forest City is a green, futuristic city that would rise from reclaimed land on 4 artificial islands and be built around an artificial forest ecosystem. The construction is located in Malaysia's Johor Bahru, which is close to Singapore, and the largest developer of real estate in China, Country Garden, built this megacity. Forest City is enormous. It covers 1,740 hectares, which is 4 times the area of the city-state of Monaco. And at first, it was expected that the estate would house about 700,000 people. The city, which would cost $100 billion when finished in 2035, will run on entirely renewable energy. An island with 50 apartment structures, golf courses, swimming pools, and beaches is one of the 4 that have been proposed. However, this extremely ambitious project is not without its challenges. According to a 2019 report by Foreign Policy, only 500 or so people were living in the estate as of that year. The population of the estate has subsequently increased for several thousand, but that is still less than 5% of what is anticipated. Number 4. Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository. This massive project was launched in order to handle the nuclear waste from hundreds of nuclear power plants in the US. Because of its sparse population and the potential of its mountains to absorb nuclear waste, Yucca was chosen to build the waste treatment factory. However, the Yucca residents were against the idea. Their biggest objection stemmed from their worry that Yucca's water sources will be contaminated. However, the Yucca Mountain Plan was started in the early 1980s. In 2002, the President and Congress approved Yucca Mountain in Nevada as the point for the depository. The Obama administration discontinued funding the project in 2010 after concluding it was unworkable. Then, a federal court ordered its continuation 3 years later. However, little has changed since the Biden administration made it apparent that Yucca Mountain is no longer a priority for the nation's objectives. After 4 decades of planning, legal issues, and more than $17 billion invested in Yucca Mountain project, Nevada appears to have won. But when everything is said and done, it's still an unsuccessful large-scale project that's never been used. Number 3. London Garden Bridge. If the London Garden Bridge, which began construction over the River Thames in London, had been completed, it would have been one of the most beautiful bridges in the world. The bridge's construction was halted halfway through 2017 due to the realization that such a bridge was not required at the location where it was being built. Numerous other low-cost bridges serving the same purpose were nearby the London Garden Bridge, which was under construction to connect the Temple Resistance Station on North Bank to the Temple Resistance Station on the South Bank. Number 2. Superconducting Super Collider USA. The Superconducting Super Collider, or SSC, which would have graced the rippling Texas prairies, would have boasted energy 20 times greater than any accelerator ever built, and might have been revealing whatever surprises lay beyond the Higgs, allowing the United States to maintain its supremacy in high-energy physics. However, the plot didn't unfold as expected. On October 21, 1993, Congress formally halted the project, leaving behind more than just a deserted tunnel in the Texas soil. Since the entire cost of the design was expected to rise from $4.4 billion to $8.25 billion, U.S. Congress closed the Superconducting Super Collider Fund and terminated the project in 1993. By the fall of 93, the estimated cost had risen to a minimum of $11 billion, or equivalent to $18 billion today. However, by that point, over $2 billion had already been spent, most by the DOE, but also $400 million by the state of Texas. Number 1. Raya Jeong Hotel. The Raya Jeong Hotel, also known as the Hostel of Doom, is an unfinished hotel built by North Korea to attract foreign tourists. The 300-meter-high, 105-story hotel, which began construction in Pyongyang in 1987 with Soviet Union funding, it is an oddity, however, because it's never been used for its intended purpose of accommodating foreign visitors, despite having over 3,000 hotel rooms and 5 rotating restaurants. The structure, which was once intended to be a thriving resort with the ambition of hosting fabulous grand casinos, has stood vacant for decades and, for most part, incomplete. After the Soviet Union collapsed, North Korea experienced several financial hardships, and the hotel's construction was put on hold in 1992 as a result. 26 years later, in 2018, an additional $180 million worth of ornamental LED illumination was added to the hotel's outside walls, transforming the entire building into a heightened display of nationalistic imagery. According to Reuters, the cost of the renovation on the untreated hotel is expected to be approximately $2 billion. This represents roughly 5% of North Korea's GDP. And there you have it. What do you think about this video? Let us know down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.